Okay. Yeah, so I think, one of the things we wanted to use this time for was to just kind of give a little bit of a flavor of the kinds of things that we, work on here at Verisk, particularly from the actuarial side. Certainly there are a number of just, wonderful projects that are really interesting that we, that we get to spend our time with, and a lot of them are unique given, the position that we have in the marketplace with respect to insurance companies, where, essentially we really service a lot of the industry. We collect and use data from a multitude of insurance carriers, and provide them with solutions that they can use in various capacities. And so, my own personal experience with that is certainly with quite a number of products. When I first started, I had a different role than the role I have today, and I kind of progressed through a few different roles. I think the common thread through all of those roles were kind of working with our data. When I first started, I kind of just worked more directly with the data that came in and kind of producing maybe some pre-canned reports that were really interesting for insurance companies. And then I progressed more towards working with increased limit factors. And then most recently, I've spent my time with a product called Risk Analyzer. Risk Analyzer is really a suite of solutions where we kind of put out really advanced rate and pricing information that's really granular, that's usually based on predictive modeling. And so that's been quite interesting, and it's been quite fun to develop those skills as part of my sort of skill set, things that can support working with predictive models, working with granular data. And pretty recently, we had our company-wide actuarial day, where we sort of present different fun and interesting actuarial projects. And this was something that my team had presented on just a few weeks ago. And so we thought it might be useful to produce a little bit of an excerpt of that for you guys today. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. I can thumb through a few slides. Let's see if this works. Perfect, it should work. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Yeah, so I will jump right in. And so, I sort of mentioned how Risk Analyzer is, the goal of Risk Analyzer is to produce insightful and granular rating information based on predictive models. Well, I always like to start with this particular set of charts, because what you see on the left side here is if you map territory-based loss costs for small commercial business owners coverage. And as you can see, there's a little bit of differentiation. I happen to use Michigan as an example just because I happen to produce this particular map fairly recently. But it's pretty much true in any particular state where if you kind of map the territory differentiation of pricing, you'll find a little bit of differentiation, especially in like major cities, but there's sort of limitations and actuarial constraints of producing useful territory information, particularly in areas where there's a lot of kind of sparse amount of volume. With Risk Analyzer, our goal is to get down to the zip code level with this pricing information, which is what you see on the right side. And as you can see, it's sort of a lot higher, call it resolution or granularity. And it's quite useful for insurance companies to have that information. So that's the goal we always work towards with a product like this. We're trying to get more granular. Obviously, it comes with its challenges, and that's usually where predictive modeling comes into play and kind of good data assets. In particular, to produce a level of insight at the zip code level like that, we rely on data from a few sources. Some of them are sort of third-party data sources that we bring in, things like weather data, census data, local road data, infrastructural data, things like that. And that stuff is incredibly fruitful. It's useful to know, the kind of wind conditions and predicting wind losses, as you might imagine. But, being an actuary and kind of having a lot of familiarity with the data that we bring in, there's still that, kind of desire to use empirical information to the extent that it is useful. And we don't want to throw that aspect away in building these models. And so we do bring in, empirical experience data as part of this analysis to kind of, what has happened in the past can still be indicative of what might happen in the future. And so I want to focus in particular about that portion of what we do with that kind of empirical data, because we want to use empirical pure premium in each zip code as a predictor in building our predictive future estimation of what the rate should be in a particular zip code. But obviously it comes with its challenges, namely that in any one individual zip code, the information is just not that credible. There's just not a lot of volume that you can really rely on the past few years that, just because, a few big claims happen in a particular zip code, does that really tell us something? It might tell us a little bit, but not too much. And so the question is, what sort of interesting adjustments can we make specific to this particular challenge that can then make the data useful? And so we actually have, worked with a two-layer credibility approach where essentially, you focus on the results in a particular zip code and weight it together with the results in its neighboring zip codes. Essentially, it's like you assign a weight to the target zip code's empirical results and a counterweight to the neighboring zip code results. But what's interesting here is we actually can do it in sort of two steps, where first we do it for the target zip code and then its surrounding neighbors, and then take the result of that and do a similar kind of double weighting where you weight the result of the first round of credibility averaging and give it a counterweight with the rest of the state. And so it's kind of a more nuanced way of accounting for the results in an individual location or small region. The thing that's most useful here is that it sort of makes the assumption that what happens in a given zip code is very informative for predicting future for the model. But what might also be particularly useful is what happens in its direct neighbors, right? If there's a windstorm or even just wind conditions, let's say, to use wind as an example once again, it probably will affect not only a given area, but also the immediately surrounding area. So, that's where this sort of two-layer approach becomes very useful. And in particular, there's another adjustment we can make, which is to apply a sort of distance weight adjustment to the surrounding area so that we are accounting for a little bit less each time the results in a zip code as that zip code moves away from the target zip code. So for example, if we're particularly focused on the zip code at the center of the chart on the right side, as we move away from that zip code, we'll still account for what's going on in its neighbors, but we might account for it a little bit less and a little bit less. And then obviously, as you move far enough away, those results stop having any real influence over the measurement in that particular zip code. And so, these are all the sort of things like, as you start to work with more granular data, you start to make these sort of adjustments, and you also kind of learn how to work with data in a different way. For example, in order to kind of tweak the algorithm by which we incorporate all this information, we have to first, understand how to work with spatial data. I had never made maps before, neither in, my career prior to being an actuary, nor early in my actuarial career, but in working with spatial geographic data, I've had to, become quite adept at building mapping data and, working with shape files and geographic files and whatnot. And that itself has been interesting and been, quite a fun experience, honestly. It sort of rounds out the toolkit, and I think it really makes you approach the data from another angle that's been incredibly valuable. And so, I think we just wanted to highlight, this project as just one example among the many things that we, have the ability to work on. And, by having access to such robust data sources and having this position where, different insurance carriers are kind of coming to us to obtain this sort of useful information, I think it's been it kind of puts us in a position to develop sort of interesting techniques and interesting insights and produce them in a way that is not only incredibly valuable from a business standpoint, but also incredibly user friendly. And so I would say that I think this particular project just kind of touches on all the little things that I really enjoy about working here at Verisk. So yeah, this concludes my portion of the presentation. Hilda, I'm wondering if your audio has been sorted out.
Yes, thank you so much. Can you guys hear me good?
Yep.
Awesome. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Ralph, for kicking us off. I really appreciate that. And I always learn a lot every time we have these group discussions with different business units. So thank you for sharing. I'm just going to hold the questions after we speak to Mary. But again, thank you so much. And over to you, Mary.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm actually going to skip showing slides because my slide was literally just my name. And I'll just talk to you all as a chat. So what Hilda has asked me to do here is to kind of talk a little bit about what it's like to be an actuary at Verisk. Ralph kind of touched on it a little bit. He's been able to have some really unique experiences, I think, as an actuary by working in a bunch of different areas. And while my path at Verisk has been pretty linear, I was able to build from skills that I had from prior life experiences. It gave me a lot of leadership opportunities, as well as being really supportive for learning. So that was something that I found incredible. We have a very supportive study program, which was really, really helpful. It took me a long time to get my designation. So I have an ACAS. I also have an underwriter designation. So that was another key piece for me, that while, if I needed a break from studying for an actuarial exam, I could still continue my learning, continue my development. There's lots of great courses here. I've taken leadership courses. I've participated in a lot of mentorship opportunities, both as a mentee and also as a mentor, which has been really, really fantastic. We have very good training. So Ralph talked about, something really cool that he's doing with data. Well, you start learning those concepts from the beginning, especially if you don't have them. The teams that we've built are very supportive of teaching each other and then learning from the folks that come in. The other nice thing that I really enjoy about working at this company is that it allows for that flexibility in your path. My current area, which has been my area for the last 10 plus years of my 15 years here, is in a regulatory space, which may not sound all that exciting to some people. I get a lot of kind of that weird side eye, you're excited about that? But because of where Verisk sits in the industry, we can do things a little bit differently. We're not a regulator, we're not a carrier. So if we want to try something new and then see and get feedback and really take advantage of that voice of customer, where we have, I think, a unique set of customers. We have the carriers, we have the regulators, we have other insurance space people. We service so many different customers that we can make these really neat connections to things. And ever having worked at an insurance carrier, I'm not sure that you'd have that opportunity. So that was something I definitely wanted to highlight, along with the options for a career path, just that you're in this kind of unique little intersection of that Venn diagram within the insurance industry. And it provides for a lot of opportunities for innovation, for collaboration, and with those unique data sets and skill sets, you get to work with non-actuaries too and learn from them and build your own repertoire of skills. So Hilda, I'm going to kick it back to you so that you have some time for your portion, but at the end, if there are any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Mary. I really appreciate that as well. And just for time's sake, I just want to give it over to Melissa to just share some of the opportunities that we currently have as we partner with IABA, and then also where you can look for future opportunities before we kick it off to Q&A, because I'm sure you guys have lots of questions for Ralph and Mary. All right, over to you, Melissa.
Hi, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's joined us this morning. We have quite a few actuary openings at this time, and as we go forward, we will, because it's a robust part of Verisk, and we are always adding to that talent. We have early career, we have internship opportunities, we have actuarial analyst level 1, and I lost my screen here. We have actuarial level 2. We have 2 senior actuarial analyst openings right now, and also an actuarial associate role. Well, actually 2 associate roles. So at very different levels, we have opportunity. And as Mary mentioned, there is a tremendous career path within this group. And so I'll just wait for Q&A or to meet with you individually and discuss in more detail these openings.
Alrighty, thanks for sharing, Melissa. I'm just gonna look through the chat and see if you have any questions. Please feel free to unmute yourself or use the hand raise function here and just ask any of us any questions that you may currently have or any feedback. We're definitely open to either one. Do we have any coming in? In the meantime, maybe I can, oh, there you go, Doris. Go ahead, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm interested about the, you said that you have like opportunity to apply. So I want to know how to, if someone interested, if we want to apply, how should we proceed? I didn't get it very well, because when I read, my question was, do you ask for an entry level? Are you able to accept like someone without professional exam? I saw that you could do that. So I want to know how to proceed.
Melissa, do you want me to take that one?
No, I got it. We do have entry-level positions, and some of the divisions do not require any exams. Of course, like Mary mentioned, we have a study program, so you can start your exam track. And you can visit our career pages at verisk.com. Or if you visit our booth, our virtual booth, the links to the positions are there as well. But for I don't think I posted the entry-level position, so please look for that on our career pages, and it will be in Jersey City. If you want to filter by location, but you can filter or put in the title actuarial analyst and apply. And I am the point of contact for all of our actuary postings. So I will see when you apply, Doris, and I look forward to getting your resume.
Hilda, I see there's a...
Thank you, I will do that. Thank you.
I see there's a question about the actuarial program. Hilda, if you'd like, I can take that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Mary. Thank you.
The question says, does your actuarial programs apply to those outside the US, for example, those that live in Canada? So the program is supportive of the CAS track, so the Casualty Actuarial Society track. And the CAS does have a Canadian track. So you would just need to make sure you're following the CAS, and then that's the group that we are supporting with our study program. Hopefully that answers your question, Adrian.
Thank you so much, Mary. Did I miss any other ones in the chat? Are there any other questions that you would like to ask myself, Melissa, or the team, our guest speakers today?
And the link to our career pages, Hilda added, Hilda added that to our chat for Doris and Adrian and anyone else who wants to just look at all of the Verisk opportunities. She added the link there in the chat. Thanks, Hilda.
Yes, absolutely. In the meantime, I'm just going to ask a buffer question here for Ralph, so that way everyone else on the call can just have an idea of how to navigate this if you were to join Verisk. So Ralph, what can you say makes you successful as an actuary at Verisk?
I think it's just being kind of open to learning to work with many different data streams, and kind of knowing the data that comes in and having to kind of work with it the best. We definitely get a lot of data, and that can be a challenge at first, but it's also incredibly valuable because that's, you can't really get that anywhere else. And working as an actuary, having data is kind of having the most powerful tool.
Definitely. Looking through the chat to see if I have anything else that came in. I don't think I see anything, right? Melissa, I'm good, right? There's nothing? Okay.
Yes, you are good.
Alrighty. Okay, well, we'll just, I'll just be here, just hang around, if you guys have any questions, because we do have about 3 minutes on the clock. And also just feel free to join us in the virtual career fair. Melissa and I will be sitting through the portal all day today to just answer any questions that may come up and share with you opportunities. I just want to say thank you so much to Ralph and Melissa and Mary and Melissa, just sharing your time today to pour your knowledge as actuaries and recruiters, and being very supportive to our partnerships here at Verisk and our partnerships with IABA. Again, if you have any questions, you can lean on us. Otherwise, you can have a great day. And thank you so much for everything.
Thanks for having us, Hilda.
Of course, my pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I see a hand raised, Ophelia. Oh, hi, Ophelia.
Oh, that was just supposed to be a clap.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ophelia, and thank you for joining us as well.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you. Sharif, is that a clap as well or a hand raise?
It's a hand up. I think she's gone.
Okay.
Is she still here?
Yes.
Yeah, can I ask my questions too?
Sorry? Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I opened the website of Verisk, and I saw something I'm not clear with. I want to apply for internship, and it says the intern program is not eligible for work visa sponsorship. If you will require work visa sponsorship, for example, H-1B after completing your degree, you do not meet the basic requirements of the summer intern program. So I want to ask, what about now? I don't need any sponsorship, okay, because I'm currently a student, so I think my OPT and CPT will be able to take care of that. Am I still eligible to apply?
If you do not need a visa sponsorship, then yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Alrighty, well, that gets us to 12 o'clock on the dot. I hope I can see you guys at the virtual career fair, and thanks again for joining.